He's on the battery. He's on positive and negative. And you can see the scope is coupled to AC. And we're going to show you that setup. So Pete, just hold that there so we can get the camera in on it in a second. And you can see we're above and below. Now, when Swede cranks this car over, and we're going to head over there, you're going to see.
Let's go back a little bit here. Let's go back to a little bit beginning.
Yep.
Okay, right now we're starting off from scratch. All right. And we're going to set up the one channel that we're going to use. You see, we're just going to connect to the battery voltage. So we'll just start up here.
Yeah, just hang on 1 second, Pete.
Sure.
The battery that we're connected to is, again, the positive lead and the negative lead of the terminals. Okay, positive, negative, we decided to go to the ground stud there,
Yeah, a little bit.
which is okay. And now Pete is setting this up.
Now we're just going to set it up. Now, again, normally, if I don't know what I'm looking for, I use what we call a 20-20 rule. It means I want a 20-volt scale. Why? Because most everything I'm going to touch on the car is going to be less than 20 volts. It's 12 to 14 volt range.
On a non-hybrid electric
on a non-hybrid car. Okay, and then I'm going to look at the amount of time that I want on the bottom scale. So let's take a look at that. I'm going to take time.
Trace.
Okay. Now, good point here to remember. This says sweep. So your scope is going to allow you to set voltage and time 2 different ways, either by each individual segment or division,
or by
the total amount shown on the screen. Total amount is what they mean when they say sweep. So if I'm going to do the time on here, what I'm looking for is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 segments. So I'm going to choose 200 milliseconds. Why? The 20-20 rule is 20 volts, 20 milliseconds per division. Why? Because this amount of time will allow me to see just about every sensor on the vehicle that occurs within the 720-degree cycle of the engine when it's sitting here in the shop running at idle. Okay, so that gives me a starting point, right? Now, what we know is from what we talked about earlier, that's going to be the DC component, right? And I want to see the AC because we're going to look at something very, very small change. So we're going to go back to that trace. And we're going to select the coupling for AC, right? And now we're going to have to lower this amount because, again, it's going to be a very small amount. So I don't know, let's say that we're going to drop down to
usually 1 volt.
You want to go 1 volt plus or minus?
ZEUS, 1 and 1.
Okay, so let's go 1 and 1. Where
So 1
right
volt.
there, 1 volt.
And then go to time.
And we'll go back to
Sweet.
time.
1 more back. There we go.
And we'll drop
1
that
second.
down to
1 second.
1 second.
Now, let me just stop right there a second. Now, depending on your software, I get a lot of guys in my class with Snap-on scopes. Many of them will be 200 millivolts, 200 milliseconds. Some will be 500. Start at 500 won't be a bad thing to do in all honesty, but you're going to see this should be a 1 volt, 1 volt. Normal cranking RPM of a gas motor, non-hybrid or whatever, going to be a few hundred RPMs.
Right.
About 250, somewhere in that range.
Right.
Now, do not have a battery charger on here. It's going to skew your readings. It won't be good.
Yeah.
So we should see now, Swede, we're going to do clear flood. Many out there do not know what clear flood is. In fact, a few techs here did not know what that was. Clear flood is not on every vehicle. Number one, this engine sticker up here, if you can get this engine sticker for a second, it's going to say it complies somewhere on there to OBD2 standards. That means the vehicle is under 8,501 pounds. That means it has an 85% chance of having clear flood. Not every vehicle OBD2 certified has clear flood. If it's not OBD2 certified, anything over 8,501, you can't hold your foot all the way down to the floor like Swede's going to do, and he has to put his foot on the brake on this car. Why? Why, Swede?
Because you got the button you got to contend with. It's not going to crank unless your foot's on the. And give me a second. Pete was the last guy in here. He's got the seat so far back. I'm so short. Just kidding, Pete.
So
I can't reach the pedal.
His foot on the brake, because this is a button, not like that car, that's a key. This is a button setup.
Right,
So you
starts
need your
that
foot on the
button.
brake in that, and let's do it. Let's watch what happens on the scope. So we got nothing going on.
No, let's see what's going on. Here. Stop, hold up.
We have no leads hooked up.
That always helps.
And I thought it was a
Doing
seat.
Live stuff.
So,
right?
you know, see, that's
the
what
beauty
G
of
just
doing
did over
live
there.
Stuff.
That was a G mistake.
Whoop.
You know, when you think you have it hooked up, that is the danger in doing that. Make sure, you remember when I said if we baselined at the battery, we should see a voltage
Yeah.
reading.
Now I'm going
right?
to show that again, because again, this is just things to keep in mind. I'm going to disconnect the lead from the scope. Look at that. You
Noise.
see that noise? You know where that's coming from? It's coming from the overhead lights.
Yeah.
All right. So you want to keep that in mind. That's that, just like the ghost voltage that G was showing you earlier. So we know we got a good connection here. We got a nice flat line.
Now we'll say,
All right,
"Sweet,
buddy. Now you can
Can
go
you
do it.
reach the pedal?
This time I can.
Okay. There we go. Let's hit it. Perfect.
All right, you stop.
Whip.
Yeah, you can kill it. So what we have here is similar to what we have up on the screen there. Now it's bigger. We can make that smaller by doing what? Increase the voltage. Higher voltage, this becomes smaller. We'll do that in a second. We can make this tighter. But really what I have is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's good for a 4-cylinder, right?
Mhm.
And you may be going, hold it. That may be bad. They're evenly spaced. See, my finger fits in them. The heights are about the same. The bottoms are about the same, telling us, oh, now I was able to move it, telling us that this engine has a decent mechanical condition. This is not for a bad coil, bad plug, bad injector. This is
Right.
mechanical condition. It is voltage drop as each piston is going up and down. That's what you're reading, the AC riding on the DC.